Hey everyone, it's Jen. I know it's kind of late, it's about 10 o'clock. I just got my kids in bed. So this is what I've been up to after putting my kids in bed the last few nights, is making masks. I know that you all are appalled, just like I am, that our healthcare workers don't have protective equipment. And so I want to pitch in and do what I can do. And so my mom taught me to sew. My grandma's sewed when I was young. And so I've been making masks. I got a pattern on Bronson, so this is actually listed on Bronson, that they need masks, they need lots of other stuff if you have it hanging around the house, so check out their website. And so I just printed out this pattern out of cardstock. There's a few patterns there. I think that this one is the easiest and most efficient and works pretty well. So I just printed this out on cardstock, and then I took a bunch of fabric scraps that I had laying around the house. So these are just from different projects that I've done. This was a seat cover. This was a Minnie Mouse costume that my sister made some years ago. So all these were some curtains in my daughter's room before she decided that pink was definitely not her thing. And so you just need to cut out 4 pieces of fabric, so no folds or anything, 4 pieces of fabric for each mask that you're going to make. And so the other thing that you need besides the pieces of fabric is elastic. So I just had this laying around the house. This width is perfect. So these are ear straps, so they go around the ears to hook the masks on the ears. I also had some thicker elastic like this that was double this, and I cut it in half because it didn't stay around the ear very well. These are in about, I don't know, something like 8 or 9 inch increments, and anything around there will be fine. And so these are the ones that I've made so far, and so I'm just going to show you really quick how I make them. It really goes pretty fast. And so the first thing you're going to do on the pattern, you'll kind of notice there's more of a pointy end. And so on that end, you take your elastic, so I'm right side up, and you want it to be about 3 inches apart, the sides of the elastic. And so I'm using my pin holder here because this is about 3 inches. It doesn't need to be exact. And so I want to make sure it's not all twisted up in there, but I'm going to set it like this so it's about 3 inches apart. And I'm just going to hold it. I'm going to make it as even as I can with the edge of the fabric. And I'm just going to hold it, and I'm going to take my other piece of fabric, and I'm going to lay it, we're going to put right sides together so that when we flip it out, the fabric will be on the same side, and I'll show you. And so I'm just going to hold it here until I pin, and then I'm going to just take some pins and keep the elastic in place. And so, when you're sewing, you want to make sure you take these pins out before you actually sew this part. If your sewing needle hits the pin, it can break your sewing needle and it will just set you back. And so I'm going to do a zigzag stitch. I don't know, I remember something about my mom telling me that when you'd use elastic, you should use a zigzag stitch. I don't know if that's true or not, but that's the one I've been using, and it seems to work pretty well. And then I'll do a straight stitch on the other side. I'll show you that. And so, like I said, I'm going to take out this pin so that my sewing needle doesn't run into it there and mess it up. But I'm holding the elastic in place and just going over it. And again, I'm taking out my needle, or my pin rather. Alright, so that's that part, pretty easy. And so when you flip it inside out, then you can see that the ear strap is attached here. And so I'm going to go ahead and switch to a straight stitch just to reinforce it, and I'm going to go, I'm just going to go around the seam that I just made. right, so before I sew these two sides together, I'm going to make a tuft. So I noticed when I was making these from the pattern that it didn't say anything about a tuft, and I was putting it on and noticing that it was kind of loose. This is a camo one, obviously, and you know, I think for a bigger face, maybe like a man's face, this would be fine, but for a woman's face, I noticed that I would think I would want it a little bit tighter around my face. Obviously, you know, we're trying to protect our, you know, precious healthcare workers, and so I'm going to put a tuft. It's just kind of like a pleat in it, just to make it so it's closer around the face and a little bit safer. And so when I do that, I'll just reinforce the elastic as well. And so it'll just keep it sturdier. You know, they will rewash and reuse these, so. Oh, hey, June. I thought I put my kids to bed. Apparently, I did not put my kids to bed because here comes one right now. And so I have another one here. I'm just gonna put the pleat in really quick, and then I'll show you how you sew it together, and then it will be all done. Hey, June, why aren't you sleeping?
Because I don't want to.
Because you don't want to. It's pretty late, June. Alright, so we've got some pleats in there so it'll fit around the face a little bit better. And so again, I'm just going to take the right sides together. I'm going to match them up, and I'm just going to sew a seam. And then that will be that.
Do you know my headphones that I brought?
Oh, you brought your headphones down?
Mm-hmm.
June, when are you going to go to sleep, do you think? Anytime soon?
Anytime soon.
Sometime soon, maybe. Alright. Well, I'm going to finish this video, and then we're going to address that. You're just watching me. Do you know what I'm doing, June? What am I doing?
He's doing that.
I'm sewing this, yeah. Do you know what I'm sewing it for?
The doctors and nurses.
For the doctors and the nurses. That's exactly right, because they need to be safe while they're helping people, right?
Why?
Yeah, because the coronavirus is really scary. So this just fits around the face, goes around the ears like this, and can be worn actually over an N95 mask or in an emergency by itself. And honestly, at the end of the day, if these all get thrown in the trash and never used because we have enough N95 masks, I think that would be great. But you know, clearly this is a state of emergency, and I want to do everything that I can to help. And so I hope that, you know, this is something that those are little scissors, yeah. I hope that, you know, if it's something you think you can tackle, then you will consider making some and dropping them off at Bronson Fast Care. And you don't have to wash them first, they'll launder them and then give them to their healthcare professionals. Thank you.